Hello you guys, so today we're going to be getting a little hands-on. We're going to be installing this HDD to SSD converter. You could actually find these and print these on Thingiverse. The creator Clax actually makes these available so you could print them for personal use on your rigs. I found this and I was quite amazed because just the amount and like the skill that this guy used to put it all together. Basically, this is only 10 grams, a little over 10 grams of PLA, and it took me about 30 minutes to get printed out. I have a 3D printer, so it works out. I actually printed two of these because I thought this would be so important to have, being that a lot of these rigs, like from like 2013 and prior, they weren't you weren't really able to install an SSD in it because they just didn't have the mounting brackets. Now this here makes it a little easier because here we are. We got the four SSD mounting holes. Basically, you're gonna put this in, and then you're just gonna mount them up with the four holes on the outside, just like you would the HDD. But I'll show you guys kind of a roundabout of how I did it. Like I said, this is gonna be a more hands-on video. It's a little different than my other videos. I know I have like one or two other hands-on videos, but this one is, like I said, a little different from my channel, I would say. But I'll get right into it. I'll show you guys. Alright, so here I can kind of show you guys what we have here. Basically, this is the hard drive to SSD converter. We're going to be installing this right over here. Now, a lot of these did actually have an SSD slot. Depending on the age of the computer, like 2012 and prior probably didn't have an SSD slot or any type of mounts. I mean, it is a possibility they did, but it was a little bit more uncommon. This computer setup right over here was actually a Line M. The Line M's, I believe, came out in like 2012, 2013, but it did have an SSD slot. As you can see, I have a SSD down there. But this is just kind of like an example video. So basically, there's four screws we have to worry about. We have the two on this side and two on the opposite side, and there's also the bottom screws that mount the SSD to the HDD converter. So those I'll kind of be showing you how we do here. It's nothing crazy. We're just mounting it up. As you can tell, I've actually realized here that I had mounted it on backwards, so we just have to flip that around. And here I just flipped it around. So no big deal. Get that screwed in. But the nice thing about this print, it's created by Clax. They're over on Thingiverse, and well, it's 10 grams of PLA or PETG or whatever material you prefer to use. These take about 30 minutes to pump out. I actually have two of these because I know I just have a lot of rigs, and it's always good to have an SSD in the rig. It just makes the computer feel a little snappier, just having a little more modern hard drive instead of one of those older optical type style drives like disk drives. So definitely a lot better. You're gonna see these older rigs come back to life just a little bit. So that's why I kind of like to install them. And for just 10 grams of filament, that's really not bad. So we're actually on the easier side. Once we get over to the other side, it's a little bit harder. Usually when you're looking at the computers, once you take that back panel off, sometimes there's like some wiring problems or there's just wires in the way. These older computers, the older they were, usually the harder they were to wire manage. Now, I'm sure a lot of the PC building community would attest for me a little bit, but basically a lot of these older cases wouldn't really have all these nice little slots where you could put all the wires. Not to mention back in the day, these modular power supplies, I feel like they were always more expensive. Even now they're generally more expensive, but back then they weren't as common. I could be wrong, but this is how I felt. They just weren't as common, or they were just a little on the pricey side. Either or, I'm not sure. Uh, But basically, you would have to handle every and all of those wires. So here we are, we're putting those little screws in. So we got two screws just over here. Like I said, it's a very simple install process, and the only reason I'm going over it is just like the importance of, having this mount in here. And maybe if you guys are interested in trying to get these old rigs going, you never know. You could want like a Windows 7 rig, you could want an XP, you could want a Vista, you might even want to go back to 95, because I've seen people going back, because you know what, there's so much software on there that still could be used to this day and still is used in, I believe, Windows 10 and Windows 11. It's just, doesn't, I'm sure it doesn't look as the same, but basically, yeah, it's all good stuff, just a little older. Um, but here we are. So we got our SSD installed. It looks like I dropped a screw somewhere, which I definitely did. You can see I'm kind of checking to see how sturdy it is. It's a sturdy uh, SSD mount, and that's really what matters. And it ended up coming out pretty good. Granted, if you did want something a little bit more sturdy, you can go with a stronger filament, or you can go with a larger print if you find something a little bit, not larger, but like something with more filament. You might want to use like a full print, but then again, you're going to be taking more time for the 3D print, and then you're kind of wasting a little bit of the filament. It just really depends what you're after. Like, are you after something that's super strong? I think this will do the job, though. Thank you again, guys, for sticking around. Like I said, if you guys have any other ideas, anything else you think we should print, anything else that would be worth like pretty much installing into these rigs, I have a fun time putting these rigs together. I just never really get to show you guys what we do behind the scenes as far as the computer building goes. So, like I said, I got a few rigs going, and definitely fun. Check it out. It's on Thingiverse. If you do have a 3D printer, it's totally worth testing out, printing, and even installing in your own rigs. Thanks again, guys. Please like and subscribe if you can. Definitely helps the channel, and one day we'll support the channel a lot. But thanks again, guys.